Let's go to the Toms River Volkswagen Sports Hotline and welcome into the locker room from the Philadelphia Daily News. He's the beat writer for the Eagles, Les Bowen. Les, welcome into the locker room.
Hey, guys. How are you?
All right, man. Summer's here in full swing, Les, and we're having a good time down here at the Jersey Shore, but we want to talk a little Eagles, so I thought I'd give you a call this week.
Good.
Now, Les, outstanding job by Howie Roseman to get all the birds in the nest.
Yeah, they have their key players locked up for a long time, and they're going to have some salary cap issues the next year or two. But I think Howie has a pretty strong grasp of how all that works. So they can make their plans. They don't really have anything looming over their head as far as Fletcher Cox or any of the key guys really being under contract.
Yeah, they got the nucleus. That's what I'm saying. Are you surprised at the job that Howie has done, figuring how things went for him the last couple years?
Well, I think this is kind of a reaction to what happened with Chip Kelly. This was kind of Howie's the way he operated when he was in charge initially. Before Chip came, Howie did try very hard to get key guys under contract. Some of those key guys have been traded away by Chip since then. But as soon as he took control back in January, they started doing this. They started looking at even guys that had a year or so left, like Malcolm Jenkins and Connor Barwin, and just making sure they had, they could rely on those guys for years to come.
We're talking with Les Bowen of the Philadelphia Daily News. And Les, of course, I'm an avid Daily News reader. And in one of your articles this week, one of the questions is which newly acquired Eagles player will have the biggest impact? And you've picked Rodney McLeod. Why? Why do you think that he's going to have the biggest impact on this team?
Well, I think nobody really knows. We haven't even had training camp yet. But if I were going to bet on somebody, I'd bet on Rodney McLeod because we know he's going to be a starter, assuming he's healthy, of course. We know that this defense that Jim Schwartz is bringing in, this 4-3 with the wide 9 defensive ends, will need really strong safety play, and that he'll have a big role in this defense going forward. And I think he's really good. I think, the Rams haven't been a great team. And that's kind of overshadowed some guys' performances. From what I have seen, Rodney McLeod's a really smart, intuitive player, a hitter, really good cover guy. I think, in fact, it's weird because we're used to having a lot of debate about the safety position in Philadelphia, but I think with McLeod and Malcolm Jenkins, they might have one of the very best safety tandems in football.
Well, since Brian Dawkins has left us, that's been a source of it's a sore spot for the Eagles. We really haven't had great safety play, right. So I agree with you.
And it's a long time now since then too. It's 7 years since Dawkins left. That's quite a while.
Les, you're down there covering the team. You're up close and personal. What's the one thing that excites you the most from what you've seen being, at practices and being around the guys in the locker room? What's the one thing that excites you the most about the 2016 Eagles?
Well, I would say the quarterback position, really. I think they've loaded up there so much. I don't think I've ever seen an Eagles team with 3 quarterbacks this good. I don't know what that's going to mean ultimately. They're hoping Carson Wentz doesn't play this year, but Sam Bradford has looked excellent all spring. There was the business with him taking the 2 weeks off, and nobody knew how that was all going to work out when he came back, what his attitude was going to be, whether he would be all in or not. He seems to be. And if he's healthy, I think they'll have a very good starting quarterback. And Chase Daniel certainly is a guy that knows Doug Peterson's offense, has a better arm than you'd think. He's the backup. And then Wentz, as I wrote, every practice he does something that shows you, wow, this is really quite a talent here, even if he does make a few mistakes as well. I really think they have, unfortunately, you can only play one quarterback, but I think they're 3 deep at quarterback with guys that you really wouldn't wince at having. And I didn't mean to make a play on words there. Wouldn't wince at having in the game if you had to.
Do you think, Les? Do you think at some point during this year, barring any injuries, will he get some time, or this is Bradford's team all the way through if he stays healthy?
Yeah, it kind of depends on how the season goes. I think if the team is successful and Bradford's healthy, they certainly won't do anything to mess with that.
Upset the apple cart.
Right, but if they start out 1-4 or something, or if Bradford misses a few weeks, I think it's going to be really going to be really interesting to see what happens. It's all going to have a lot to do with how Wentz looks too in the preseason games. Obviously, he'll get playing time then, and if he looks overwhelmed or if he's making mistakes, there won't be a lot of pressure on Doug Peterson to play Carson Wentz as a rookie. If he looks great and Bradford doesn't, then we'll be in very familiar territory at Philly with talk radio buzzing about, why don't they play the guy that they traded up to draft second overall.
We're talking with Les Bowen of Philadelphia Daily News, beat writer for the Eagles. And Les, obviously, with the new regime coming in, Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz and Frank Reich, obviously the atmosphere down there is a lot different than it was with the Chip Kelly regime. Do you sense that? Do you feel that down there? I mean, you're down there. Do you get that sense that it's all new? It's all a different atmosphere down there with the guys and the camaraderie and everything.
Yeah, I think so, and I think practice is way different. They're not running around as much. There's not as much emphasis on speed. The one thing that I didn't mind the hurry up offense. I thought in some situations it was really useful, but the hurry up practices, to me, Chip had this thing where he didn't want to ever stop and make corrections. That if somebody did something wrong, they would just keep going, and they would address it in a position meeting hours later, watching tape of the practice. And to me, that was weird. Andy Reid would stop practice and say, "No, we're going to do this again. This is here's how we're going to do this. This is where this guy's supposed to be." I think that's a much more effective way of teaching. I don't know if anybody even remembers the mistake hours later. And you get into bad habits if you don't correct on the field, I believe. There was really not a lot of attention to nuance and detail, and you just can't, teach detail that way in a meeting room. You have to be this position coach has to be out there. No. Here's what I want.
Instruction.
Not doing it from tape.
All right, Les. If one last question before I let you go, we're up against the break. Les, if you had to, if I were to ask you right now, which I'm going to, how are the Eagles going to do record-wise? What would you say right now?
Oh, I have no idea.
I'll put you on the spot, Les.
Happen, but I think the division's going to be better this year. I think they have a pretty tough schedule. I'm probably going to go for something like 8-8.
Okay.
I don't
playing
think
it safe, Les. You're playing it safe.
I know. I don't think it'll be a disaster, but there's a lot. They don't have a lot of offensive weapons for Sam Bradford. They weren't able because of the Carson Wentz trade. There's some things that I think they would have liked to have done at running back and wide receiver that they just didn't get to do. And we still don't know about the offensive line. I think it'll be better. Is it going to be that much better? I don't know.
All right, Les Bowen, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time. Enjoy your summer. We'll talk to you again.
Thanks very much. Take care. Have a good weekend.